Tonight, missing nearly $1 million in equipment and supplies at the DRA, an update on the agency's ongoing investigation. Also, sufficiently satisfied, the Environment Minister gives his take on the cleanup of an oil spill on Grand Bahama, and how some of our most popular beaches will get a facelift. And then in our news at 7:30, how equipped is the Bahamas to respond to natural disasters? An independent assessment takes a look. Our news at 7 starts now. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kindino Knowles. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has confirmed the first case of cholera in the Bahamas since 2017. The patient is a Bahamian man in his 50s with a recent history of travel. The Ministry of Health releasing a statement just moments ago. We've got more on that coming up. But first, hundreds of thousands of dollars in Disaster Reconstruction Authority supplies and equipment remain missing. And according to Chairman Alex Storr, the authority is going after the missing equipment. Berthany McDermott reports.
A recent inventory exercise at the Disaster Reconstruction Authority revealing that up to $1 million in supplies and equipment are missing. Disaster Reconstruction Authority Chairman Alex Storr says investigations continue into the missing money.
Between $250 to $1 million.
Thank you.
Okay.
Supplies?
Yeah. Supplies and different equipment.
The revelation came as Storr was giving an update on the DRA assets seized from Friendship Tabernacle Church on Abaco. These supplies, Storr says, are at the DRA's warehouse. Last month, it was revealed that police officers recovered the goods from the church, which the DRA said was part of an ongoing investigation. Storr says the DRA is going after assets that remain outstanding.
We are putting measures in place to go after more supplies that we feel are missing, that some were part of that and some may be part of other things. But we are putting measures in place to go after everything that the DRA has that is out there that's not in our possession.
Storr says the seized assets were kitchen supplies.
The supplies is basically kitchen equipment. We're trying to find the best use to help persons on Abaco with those.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Cleanup efforts to rid the grounds of millions of gallons of oil in eastern Grand Bahama still underway. While on that northern island, Environment Minister Von Miller visiting Equinor, the company responsible for the major spill. Jamila Missick reports.
Sufficiently satisfied. That's how Minister of the Environment and Natural Resources Von Miller feels about cleanup efforts of that major oil spill at Equinor in East Grand Bahama. You may recall that back in 2019, during Hurricane Dorian, some 5 million gallons of oil were spilled at the South Riding Point facility.
And based on the results, because it's results driven, based on those results, we're sufficiently satisfied that Equinor is in compliance.
In the past, local environmental activist Joseph Darville has expressed concerns that there was still oil residual on the ground after Press Secretary Clint Watson's announcement that the government was satisfied with cleanup efforts. Since Darville's claims, Minister Miller says they've conducted a number of tests to ensure that Equinor is in compliance. He says he looks forward to meeting with Darville while on the island.
Believe me, I assure you, if Equinor was not in compliance, believe me, I would have led the charge against them. And I want to send this message to any organization, any company doing business in the Bahamas. If they're not in compliance, we wheel a big stick, and we're not afraid to use it.
Now the ownership of Equinor is in transition, and the minister says they have met briefly with the potential owners, but looking forward to more meetings. Meanwhile, cleanup is ongoing, and there are now reforestation efforts thanks to a partnership with Equinor and the University of the Bahamas. As for the results of that oil spill cleanup, Miller says those findings will be released soon. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Missick.
A new study from the University of the Bahamas has reignited discussions about marital rape after the results showed that 1 in 12 married women surveyed had suffered some form of sexual assault at the hands of their spouse. According to the study, married women were 1.6 times more likely to be assaulted by their husbands than single women were to be assaulted by their partners. Asked about the study's results on Wednesday, Prime Minister Philip Davis said this.
What I say to any woman, married or not, if they are aggrieved by being assaulted violently by anyone, they should report it to the police. right? The law takes into account the separation of persons who would have had a marriage, and any assault on a woman, be it whether you call it rape, grievous harm, otherwise, the law should take its course. Report those incidents to the police.
All right, now the Prime Minister is not the only one to weigh in on the controversial issue. A member of the religious community also addressing the recent study. Megan Shepherd picks up the story at 7:30. Well, it's time now for your first look at temperatures, and meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Kendi. What a difference 24 hours make. We have a lot more moisture across the northwest Bahamas. We'll show that in a short while with the satellite picture, but partly cloudy skies outside our studios right now. Temperatures have cooled down to near the 80-degree mark, 81. Your winds out of the southeast at 7 miles per hour. Your feels like temperature hanging out in the upper 70s. Temperatures around the islands right now across the northwest Bahamas, we're looking at upper 70s to low 80s, 84 in Freeport. We have Marsh Harbor, Abaco with some showers nearby. You guys at 82, 79 in Alistown, Bimini, as well as the Great Harbor Key. 80 across in Nicholstown, Andros. Most of those locations seeing some showers nearby. Here in the capital, 81, 82 in Governor's Harbor, into the central Bahamas. Some showers down there as well, as we pick up 81 in Kemps Bay, 85s in Artistown, Cat Island, Cubertown, San Salvador, 87. Over in Georgetown, you guys are at 87 at this hour as well. Deadman's Key, Long Island, 86, Southeast Bahamas. Duncantown, Ragged Island, 85. We pick up 83 on Colonel Hill, Crooked Island. Acklands, that's Delectable Bay, 84. 84 also in Abrams Bay, Meguana. Matthewtown, Inagua, and our neighbors to the southeast, Turks and Caicos Islands, we have a pair of 85s there at this hour. Satellite view, a lot of moisture associated with the frontal boundary that's pushing across the southeast United States, pooling a lot of that moisture across the northwest Bahamas. So we're looking at some showers and thunderstorms, some of those popping up across Grand Bahama, the Abacos, as well as the Berry Islands earlier today, prompting some severe thunderstorm warnings. But you notice we got a lot more moisture in the Gulf of Mexico. That will continue to stream across us. So we're looking at a wet pattern tonight through tomorrow as this frontal boundary continues to push towards the southeast and moves into our area. That's your first quick check on weather. Stick with us. Your extended forecast and a look at the tropics is still to come.
Still to come on our news, the latest on a man shot outside a Redland Acres home last night, plus restoring some of the island's most popular beaches. The plans, details are coming right up. Plus, how you can help the South Andros Cancer Center. It's all coming up when our news returns. A 22-year-old man who survived an overnight shooting is in serious condition in hospital. Police say the shooting happened just before 9 p.m. on Wednesday. According to police, a group of officers, or group of men that is, were standing in a yard on Shaw's Drive in Redland Acres when they were approached by a lone gunman who opened fire on the group. Police say the victim, who was taken to hospital by emergency responders, was shot multiple times. Gun violence has long been an issue in the country. So far this year, 285 firearms and 4,299 rounds of ammunition have been taken off the streets by police. Dozens of people attending a town hall meeting last night where the topic of discussion was a review of the high school diploma. Hosting the meeting was the National Commission to Review Bahamas High School Diplomas. In July, the Ministry of Education announced the formation of the commission. Retired Grand Bahama educator Cecil Thompson is the chairman. He says it's much needed and commending the education minister for making it a mandate.
With a view to addressing the defects and shortcomings of the Bahamas High School Diploma, a less concerned, a less caring Minister of Education would have done nothing.
When the new commission was announced, Hannah Martin said their job is to study its core criteria, ensure its relevancy, and set appropriate standards. She says if deemed necessary, the commission will submit recommendations for adjustments or reform, adding the review is not an exercise to compromise standards. To find out what those current standards are, be sure and stay tuned to 7:30, our news at 7:30. It's one of our greatest natural resources and our greatest selling point as a tourist destination, beaches. Here in New Providence, a number of parks and beaches will soon have new looks as two government organizations partner to bring life to beaches across the community. Megan Shepard has the story.
Beaches and parks on the island of New Providence set to get a major facelift thanks to a partnership between the Bahamas Public Parks and Beaches Authority and the Ministry of Works. Chairman of the authority, Mikel Barnaby, says the restoration initiative will kick off on some of the island's most popular beaches.
As you drive past Saunders Beach, there's usually a lot of people on this beach. And so what we looked at is where can we make the most impact? And we looked at Saunders Beach, Goodman's Bay, Montague Beach, and all of the others as well. And so we're starting here today along with my team from Parks and Beaches, the Ministry of Works, and private contractors to restore this beach. And this is something that we're going to continue doing.
He says beaches play an important role in quality family time and Bahamian culture.
We haven't really focused in the past on the recreational side of parks and beaches, and that's what we want to focus on. And so what I said to my team is the first thing that we have to do is make sure that the look and the feel of the beach is adequate, right? And obviously it led a lot to be desired, the playgrounds, and so we started off at Saunders Beach. We've restored the playground, and right now we're working on restoring the beach.
He says Goodman's Bay is up next.
That's going to happen in a couple of weeks. We're working with Bahamas, we're working with Goldwind. We have a meeting tomorrow. And what we intend to do is to revitalize that entire beach, from the vendors to the playground to the beaches to lighting, security, park wardens, the whole 9 yards.
Barnaby says there is no fixed timeline for the project as it will be an ongoing initiative. Reporting for Our News, I'm Megan Shepard.
When Our News comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world. Plus, the growing number of cholera cases in Haiti, the threat outlined by regional health officials. Plus, a small island cancer center needs your help to continue caring for its patients. We'll tell you how when Our News returns. This is Our News. Welcome back. Conspiracy theorist talk show host Alex Jones has been ordered to pay nearly $1 billion in damages to families who lost loved ones in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. 8 families of the victims and 1 first responder were each awarded $965 million by a Connecticut jury Wednesday, ending a weeks-long trial and years-long fight. Jones used his right-wing talk show to push baseless lies, saying the 2012 mass shooting, which killed 26 people, was staged, and the families and first responders were crisis actors. The plaintiffs told how the lies prompted unrelenting harassment and compounded the agony of losing their loved ones. As the verdict was read, Jones, absent from the courtroom, mocked the decision on his InfoWars show, using it to fundraise.
I couldn't be more proud to stand here and with all of these people, and I really miss my wife and daughters right now. They can't be here with me, but
I'm incredibly proud and thankful for the message that was sent here today. The truth matters, and those who profit off of other people's pain and trauma will pay for what they have done.
Meanwhile, a Florida jury recommending that a 24-year-old mass murderer should spend his life in prison without parole and sparing him the death penalty. Nicholas Cruz was sentenced for his guilty plea in the Parkland school shooting in February of 2018. He shot and killed 17 people, which included 14 students at the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. The life sentence came after the jury failed to reach a unanimous recommendation on the death penalty. It's a victory for his lawyers, who argued for life in jail, claiming their client suffered from mental disorders his entire life. A humanitarian crisis looming in Colombia as thousands of Venezuelan migrants try to get to the United States. An estimated 9,000 migrants are said to be trying to escape the political, social, and economic crisis in Venezuela. They are stuck in the northwest Colombia, awaiting boats to get them to a staging point and into a treacherous jungle heading to the United States. A Colombian government official says the crisis is far more serious this year than in the past. Each year, thousands of migrants from Venezuela use the Nicoli village to try and get from Colombia into America, searching for a better way of life.
Right now, we have an overcrowding crisis. There are many migrants with specific needs, and help is not being provided to the migrants. That is what we are demanding: intervention from international organizations.
And Tropical Storm Julia blamed for at least 5 deaths and flooding in Honduras over the weekend. Days later, water remained at knee level in some homes as locals began the cleanup. Dozens remain in temporary shelters. The victims, including a woman swept away in floodwaters and a 4-year-old boy who died in a capsized boat. Close to 25 people were killed in Tropical Storm Julia across Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala. The weakening storm continues to dump heavy rain across central and southern Mexico. Well, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is reporting tonight the country's first case of cholera in the Bahamas since 2017. The patient is a 52-year-old Bahamian man with the recent history of travel. The Ministry of Health releasing a statement on his condition. We'll have more on that coming up in our news at 7:30. But as gang violence rages on in Haiti, the cholera outbreak on that island continues to worsen. PAHO officials confirming that cases have jumped from single to double digits over the last week. The jump in cases comes more than 3 years after no cases of the virus were reported. Pan American Health Organization Director Dr. Carissa Etienne giving a breakdown of the most recent statistics.
As of October 9th, Haiti has confirmed 32 cases and 18 deaths from cholera. Over 260 suspected cases are still awaiting confirmation in the area surrounding Port-au-Prince. Nearly 1/4 of these cases are among children between ages 1 and 4. Cholera has arrived in Haiti amid serious ongoing social and political unrest.
Meanwhile, former Minister of Health, Dr. Dwayne Sands, says more attention needs to be paid to Princess Margaret Hospital. This after Prime Minister Philip Davis announced new hospitals are on the way for New Providence and Grand Bahama in his first national address. Davis says progress has been made on securing both the land and resources for the new hospitals, with ground expected to be broken on a new $200 million facility in Grand Bahama. But Dr. Sands says the focus now should be what's happening at PMH.
Today, our major healthcare facilities are in trouble. You go to Princess Margaret Hospital right now, and what you see are patients lined up like cattle in the emergency room, waiting for beds. There are multiple wards throughout the hospital that remain vacant, condemned, unrepaired. You go to Grand Bahama, there's an operating room which has been renovated that is not used. So capacity through our healthcare system right now, today, is far less than what is needed.
On our news, today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was October 13th. Plus, the South Andros Cancer Center works to raise $75,000 for renovations, and they need your help to do it. Christian Council President weighing in on what he calls horrific findings of a spousal rape study in the country. It's all coming up when Our News returns. Welcome back to Our News. It's time now for a look at today in world history. As always, we've got some interesting facts about the day that was October 13th. Take a look. In 1925, former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher was born. She died on April 8, 2013 at 88. Infamously known as the Iron Lady, Thatcher was Europe's first woman prime minister, the only British prime minister in the 20th century to win 3 consecutive terms. Upon her resignation, she was Britain's longest continuously serving prime minister since 1827 and the most renowned British political leader since Winston Churchill. This video shows Thatcher leaving 10 Downing Street for the last time.
We're leaving Downing Street for the last time after 11 and a half wonderful years, and we're very happy that we leave the United Kingdom in a very, very much better state than when we came here 11 and a half years ago. Now it's time for a new chapter to open, and I wish John Major all the luck in the world.
Then in 2012, the Space Shuttle Endeavour completing a 2-day cross-country trek to California Science Center in Los Angeles. In this photo, a man is seen taking a photo as Space Shuttle Endeavour travels to the Science Center in Inglewood. Governor General Cornelius A. Smith was presented with the very first poppy of the season by the British Legion earlier this week, marking the official opening of the 2022 poppy season. Pictured alongside the Governor General is Chairman Dina Monroe-Charlo, Vice Chairman Father Andrew Toppin, and board members Charles Hepburn Jr. and Kevin Hanna. The poppy season will run from this week until Remembrance Day on November 11, 2022, so keep an eye out for your poppy sales in your community. Money from poppy sales helps care for some of the country's oldest surviving Bahamian World War II veterans, funding initiatives such as grocery deliveries and pensions for the veterans and their widows. A local nonprofit organization needs your help. In this report, our Berthany McDermott explains what they need and how you can assist.
The Cancer Society of South Andros has been meeting in this dilapidated building for quite some time, and according to branch president Ruth Knowles, the facility is without a restroom.
We even don't have a bathroom in that place. And so, Brittany, when we have to use the bathroom, we have to go behind the building and use the bathroom. So we're really asking for the public to help us in this initiative.
Renovating the building will run the society into about $75,000 in costs. Knowles says the plan is to provide a space to educate the public about cancer and to provide a safe space. While she says the society branch and the South Andros community have been donating, there still remains a greater need. Knowles says the society is holding a raffle at the end of the month and recently held a concert to raise funds. Despite the challenges with the building, the society never stopped fulfilling its mandate of catering to South Androsians battling with cancer.
The cancer patients is more priority than the building for now, but we still need the building. But if a cancer patient need help, we have to help the cancer patient first.
Knowles also sending out a clarion call to South Andros residents who may be dealing with cancer.
Sometimes persons wouldn't say that they have cancer. So if the person don't say that they have cancer, we can't help them. The Cancer Society of South Andros, we're here to help the people. We're here to help. And if we know you have cancer, we're going to help you.
In an effort to carry out its work, the society is asking for the public's assistance. Anyone interested in helping is asked to contact Ruth Knowles at 421-6331 or go to the Bank of the Bahamas and donate to the Cancer Society South Andros branch. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. To watch that story again and for all of today's top stories, visit ournews.bs. That does it for us at Our News at 7. Joining us now is our Talia Hall with the latest headlines. Talia?
Yes, a lot to get to with more on that confirmed case of cholera and the hundreds of thousands of dollars in missing DRA assets.